Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for a special look at what our restoration teams are doing on a ship in the deep Gulf. My name is Erin Spencer. I am the communications manager for restoration for the mesophotic and deep benthic communities restoration portfolio, and I am going to be your host today. So today we're going to talk to some of our friends on a restoration expedition off of the NOAA ship Nancy Foster, a 186-foot vessel based in Charleston, South Carolina. Right now they are about 55 miles off of Pensacola, Florida, and we're going to be able to see them live from the expedition. Throughout today's program, there's going to be opportunities to ask your questions. So if things come up, please put them in the chat and I will pull them up to ask our experts on screen. We're also looking to get your feedback about our presentation today. So we're going to share a link that you can return to and give your feedback. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. And we'll also share this link at the end of the program today. So in just a few minutes, we're going to connect with the folks on board. But before we do that, I want to give a little bit of a background about the restoration work that's going on today. So as you travel deeper into the ocean, less sunlight is able to penetrate the water. Just past recreational scuba diving limits, which we'll talk about today, you'll reach the mesophotic zone, which means middle light. Despite the low levels of sunlight, this zone is home to colorful corals, sponges, fish, and invertebrates. Beyond the twilight zone, there's no sunlight at all, and the temperatures get much colder and the pressure gets much higher. However, there are still vibrant habitats full of life at these depths, hundreds to thousands of feet below the surface. These mesophotic and deep benthic, or seafloor ecosystems, are found around the world, including right here in the Gulf. You can see some of the fantastic animals that we've seen on these restoration expeditions here. However, in 2010, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill dealt a heavy blow to Gulf communities on land and at sea. 11 people lost their lives, and natural resources, wildlife, and habitats across the Northern Gulf were severely impacted. More than 770 square miles of deep sea habitat were impacted by the spill. But as a result, there are collaborative restoration projects underway to help us understand and restore these seafloor ecosystems. The projects are developing new and improved maps to locate important coral communities, learning more about the species that live in these habitats, the environmental conditions they thrive in, and how they're connected across the Gulf, determining the best methods to encourage deep sea coral growth and reproduction to help restore impacted coral species and the important habitats that they create, reducing the threats that these ecosystems face, like removing marine debris, and connecting the habitats and restoration work to the public and natural resource managers through presentations like today. This restoration work is made possible by the Deepwater Horizon Natural Resource Damage Assessment Open Ocean Trustees and is led by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the Department of the Interior. Plus, there are many partners, including a large number of academic institutions and non-governmental organizations that we work with as well. And you can scan this QR code to learn a little bit more about the work, and we will also share some links as we go in the chat. So with all of that background underway, I think it's time for us to go live to the ship in the Gulf. So let's see if we can bring in the feed. All right, we are here we are. Hello, we have Chris and Amanda here live from the NOAA ship Nancy Foster. Can you go ahead and introduce yourselves for the stream?
Amanda, please.
All right, my name is Dr. Amanda Demopoulos. I'm a research ecologist with the U.S. Geological Survey Wetland and Aquatic Research Center in Gainesville, Florida. And on board here, I'm basically helping collect and process samples that the tech divers are bringing up for us and process water. And I've been really enjoying the team. Turn it over to Chris.
All right, thanks, Amanda. Chris Gardner. I'm a research fishery biologist with NOAA Fisheries, a Southeast Fisheries Science Center in Panama City, Florida. And my role within the project, I'm one of the co-project managers across the federal labs. which Amanda is one of our technical advisors and leads. And for this trip, I am acting as the field party chief.
So this expedition is one of multiple missions throughout the year that are achieving these restoration goals for MDBC. Can you tell us what some of the specific goals of this particular expedition are?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this expedition, we have a group of highly skilled technical divers that are using closed circuit multi-gas rebreathers from institutions such as the NOAA Diving Center, Southwest Fisheries Science Center, Habitat and Restoration, as well as teams from Moody Gardens and Florida Atlantic University. So these divers are going down and doing some of the tasks that require a little more dexterity than some of the robots can do. So directed outplanting. So we're taking corals from the lab and putting them back onto these substrates that will eventually be moved to the impacted areas. Also, we're collecting lots of biological samples. We're collecting sediment cores for Amanda's work, collecting live corals for the aquaria, and genetic samples, and also looking at age and growth.
Amazing.
It's really incredible to watch these divers that you can see right here, Aaron. They're picking and collecting. As Chris mentioned, it takes a lot of dexterity and fine skills to grab these samples carefully and methodically so we can bring them back on the ship and then take care of them back in the labs that we have running on shore.
And so it sounds like there's some really specific reasons why you're using these expert divers, because as you mentioned, they're doing some things that require some human dexterity. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the specifics with the divers in a minute. You're mentioning samples and live coral. Can you tell us what happens when it comes back up to the ship and what the use is of those different samples?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything we take out is very intentional. So we're taking selected samples, certain numbers, and trying to take as little as necessary, but also what we need. So with the live corals, we'll take a snip where they can just take basically one of the branches or a subsection of the coral off, and because they're genetic clones, that coral will continue to grow. And so you're not killing it. So they'll be brought into our labs for spawning stock. We've been using these to reproduce and make new colonies which we're going to be outplanting. And let's see, just learning about a lot of the basic life history. I mean, so much of these corals, we have no idea, their genetic distribution, how old they are, things like that. And I've got a good example behind me that was actually collected just about 2 hours ago by Dr. Ryan Eckert from Harbor Branch. It's a it's a deepwater stony coral, and you see it's bright white. That's actually its healthy state, and this is something that pretty much, if you collect it with an ROV, this will just basically explode. So you'll get fragments, which you can still use for genetics, but all the science that we're going to have, this will be accomplished off this. And then the rest of it is going to go on display at the Mississippi Aquarium.
Amazing. And we already have some folks in the chat. And there's one thing that I want to share because it leads me to my next question. CDive26 says closed circuit rules, open circuit drools when it comes to the dive equipment. And so you're mentioning these technical divers, right? So can you tell some folks who might be joining us that aren't familiar with what that means? What are these technical divers and why do we need it for this specific work as opposed to your average recreational diver?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to bring in one of the technical divers in just a minute. But basically, when they're using a rebreather, they're exhaling the gas and rebreathing it, going through a canister, some chemicals, removing carbon dioxide, and then they're constantly adjusting the gases that they breathe. So they'll have these little bottles, they can stay down for sometimes 6 hours at a time. And because they can constantly change the gas mixtures, they're able to optimize their decompression.
So we have one of the divers right now who's going to come join us.
All right, good.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jake.
Hi, Jake. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. How are y'all?
Doing great. And can you give us a little bit of an introduction about your background and what your role is on the ship?
Sure, sure. Well, I've been diving since I was 12 years old and been technical diving for about 15, 18 years now. And I work at Moody helping their dive program and undersea medicine program. And we like to come out and help people make the world a better place. So that's why I have the privilege of joining y'all today. So yeah.
And we have a question in the chat. Also, we have lots of hellos, but we have a question in the chat that says, it sounds like you need additional training to use a rebreather. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, yes. So when you get scuba certified, that's an amazing experience and just a pure moment of joy. If you want to get certified on a rebreather, it takes about 10 hours total of being underwater. And then the level of diving that we're doing, people spend about 50 hours underwater minimum just for the required training. So actually about 10, probably each person has about average of 10 years of advanced training before they're on the ship. So just a few days of training, not too many.
Do you want to
Just
show
a
us some
few
of the
days.
equipment?
Yes, yes. So can you guys see the rebreather behind Amanda?
Or Aaron, would you like me to go to the mobile cam or?
I think this is all okay. Yeah, you can show us here. Unless you want to get some up close, but okay, awesome. Yeah,
So-
take us through.
All right, here we go. So on this side, you have oxygen, which you can breathe till about 20 feet, and then after that, it does become toxic. So oxygen we use mainly because we like it to breathe and live. And then to dilute the oxygen for as deep as you want to go, that's where we'll use what's called our diluent, which is on this side. And the diluent, so the oxygen we have to dilute so that we can safely go to depths, but then we do have the pressure of nitrogen begins to cause us a little bit of trouble when we get to about 80 to 100 feet. So we use helium as a lighter gas to dilute the nitrogen and the oxygen. And so at this very moment, our divers are at 235 feet collecting coral right now on a mixture that's about 13% oxygen and 60 to 70% helium. And the rebreather is really nice because instead of having big scuba bottles, you just have these smaller bottles, and it allows you to recirculate the gas as you breathe it around. And then on the back, just like in a submarine or an anesthesia machine, you have Sodazor, which scrubs out the carbon dioxide, which we don't like to breathe, allowing us to always have fresh gas supply without carbon dioxide. We can add oxygen in to keep ourselves happy underwater. And then we can add in helium so that way we have a clear head and we can do good work.
Clear head and good work is very important. And go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to note that earlier this morning, Jake here did some underwater surgery on a coral at about, 230 feet?
We were at 231 feet this morning.
Yeah. So taking samples in a non-lethal fashion. So it's really, really quite unprecedented.
So that's our first sample collected of Mauricia, and then we planted it back on the seafloor after collecting its base so that it can continue to live. And that's a gardener special. He wanted to be able to. I mean, we have a gardener out here helping us garden underwater.
Nice.
I don't think we could plant
Nice.
it.
Well, that's amazing. We do have some other questions coming in. What do you use to maintain your core temperature on dives that go that long?
Yes. So some of us are in the average water temperature is about 72 degrees, and our dives are lasting about 2 hours right now. We're spending 23 minutes to 30 minutes underwater, and it can get very cold. 2 hours at 72 degrees, where you're losing heat 25 times faster than in air, can really cause can be cold. So we use dry suits like you see the diver right now. Many of us will wear dry suits. Other folks are wearing 5mm wetsuits, and then hoods and gloves and things like that as well to to keep them warm. But at 235 feet, that wetsuit is like a t-shirt. So it can be quite cold when you're on bottom. Many of us will swim in circles for minutes and minutes on end to stay warm if we're getting a little chilly. Yeah.
We have, what is the max sampling depth that you are working with in this expedition? And is that the max sampling depth overall for you?
Yes.
Yes.
85 meters or about 270 feet is going to be
It's pretty
the
deep.
some of our target depths in the next few days. It's the deepest that this project has ever been.
That's amazing. And, you know, I think something that comes up every single time you talk about the tech diving is the wild amount of training and safety procedures that are in place. And a lot of the gear that's on board is actually safety gear. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the safety protocols you do as a team?
Yes, absolutely. So you can do no better than being on the Nancy Foster and then being in partnership with the NOAA Dive Program. That is some of the most amazing folks from all over the world are here on this vessel or other jobs that they have. So we have a hyperbaric chamber on board. We have an undersea position as well. And in partnership with Moody and NOAA, we both have undersea medicine programs. So what you're seeing right now is the transportable recompression chamber system, which can treat multiple divers at once. And this is definitive care if someone in the unlikely event has a problem that results from their diving activity. So and it's just like anything else. It does take people with training to be able to use that piece of equipment. And when you're at 230 feet and you know that really no matter what happens, you've got help right above you, being able to help you is a pretty big deal. So we have chamber supervisors, chamber operators, and dive medics as well that are on this ship that are a part of the manning bill or the personnel that we use to organize each of these jobs. All of those trainings take, to become an undersea physician, that takes 6+ years.
6+ years, yep.
And this is Dr. Christy Ray with us right
hey,
now.
everyone, so nice to meet you.
And
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And so whether it's AEDs on the small boats, oxygen kits, Saba dive kits, throw ropes, we're working in fairly sporty currents. Sometimes it clocks 2 to 3 knot currents out here that can just sweep us away if we don't get a good drop. So one of the things that we did is we required diver propulsion vehicles, which is like a little, oh gosh, which is like a little torpedo that you'll clip off yourself so that you can pull yourself around. And we have about 250 pounds of equipment on us. And so the drag, you don't move very much when you kick. So being able to pull yourselves around, we would consider this actually a piece of safety equipment as well.
Did you say 250 pounds of gear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot of gear.
And the seas are at like 4 feet today.
Are you trying to sell us on this or not? Because that sounds like a lot. No, all jokes aside, that's incredible. And clearly goes to show how much training and coordination is required.
Yes, ma'am. You only get one shot in the morning and you only get one shot in the afternoon. And the other thing I think that's important to state is that these are like dreams for every person that's out here, right? It's just a dream come true. It's a trip of a lifetime to be able to work together and join a team like this. So everyone is like excited the moment they wake up, and then they have to like somehow turn that off and go to bed at the end of the day. So that whether that's crew, officers, science party, everybody is just excited about what we're able to get done each day. So I would say it's not easy. It certainly takes a certain type of person, but everybody is just super stoked to be out here and be able to have a good time. And even though there are only 12 to 14 people from the science, 36 people total on this ship, all their families are back home. All the people that they work with that help them get here are back home. And so it's not just a few people offshore doing the work. It's all the folks that are helping put this event together and listening and tuning in. Everybody gets to be connected when we make the world a better place. So.
100%. And I will say from my perspective, one thing I'm always super impressed by hearing about the work is just how passionate everyone is about the restoration specifically, right? Bringing together for this very important cause in a way, in a really incredible way to apply these skills that you all work so hard to build over many decades. So thank you so much for taking us on a walk around of the gear. I would love to ask some more questions about some of the restoration work. And actually, Dr. Ray is still there, right?
Dr. Ray is here.
Dr. Ray, would you mind if we put you on the spot and ask you some questions as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jake.
So says you can go to the bridge anytime you guys want. Thank you so much.
Thank
love
you
to
so
all
much.
the family and friends. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Stay safe. Well, thank you for joining us on the live stream now that you've been roped in. We have some questions for you. Have you ever worked on a coral restoration project before? And how does it feel to be supporting this kind of groundbreaking work?
Absolutely. No, I haven't. This is my first time, and this has like been a career dream for me. I was started scuba diving when I was a teenager with my dad, fell in love with the coral reefs, and I made the decision that I wanted to become a dive doctor and take care of divers. So normally I take care of divers when they're sick and they come meet me at the hospital. And this is an amazing opportunity where I get to be, a real diving medical officer. I make sure that our divers are medically fit to dive, make sure everyone is healthy, that they feel great. And then I'm here in case of a contingency or any emergency. So this has been like a dream come true. I love supporting the science team. It's so fascinating, all the amazing work that they're doing. I'm just
That's
so
awesome.
thankful to be a member of the team.
And we're also putting her to work on the science thing.
Oh, how so? What have they
Super
been
busy.
recruiting you to do?
Yeah, I've been loving doing putting together epoxy balls for implanting coral, trying to work with a Niskin bottle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
getting water samples for us. That's
so
right.
This has been, like I said, a dream come true for me.
Do they not cover outplanting corals in medical school? They don't. They don't cover that.
I really wish that I learned that skill, especially in dive medicine. I think I would have been like way far ahead, but I'm so glad I'm learning it now.
Well, we also are so grateful for you being out there. And again, as Jake mentioned, it's time away. It's time away from home and family and everything. So thank you so much for keeping everyone safe on board. And thanks for letting us commandeer your time a little bit.
Thanks so much. It was great meeting you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. We have some other questions in here. Okay, now that we've chased out Chris and Amanda, that we have some really wonderful comments coming in, just thanking everyone for the work. Okay, great.
Do you have time to have a tour of the ship? Because we could show you around what our living situation is like on the day-to-day.
Absolutely. Please show us the ship.
Do you want me to run and you narrow it?
Sure.
Or all right. And apologies if my camera freaks out because.
And while Chris is getting set up, actually, Amanda, I wanted to follow up on one of the comments that came up about epoxying the little coral fragments, the outplanting. Can you tell us, and we'll kind of walk through as well, but can you tell us why we are outplanting these corals in these locations?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm just so you have a little perspective. Chris is in the dry lab right now. That's where we do our acoustics surveys of the seafloor. So mapping of the seafloor at different levels. We're going to walk through the ship and then head back over to where we eat our food every day, which is most important. But to answer your question, Aaron, basically these corals, different species of corals were injured by the spill in 2010. And many of these corals are really slow growing and long lived. And so we're working on developing the best methods and best practices for restoring those corals in the wild. We're using a lot of tried and true methods that have been applied in shallow water coral reefs, but given these conditions are really unique, different depths, deeper depths, colder temperatures, etc. We're working on innovating these approaches to ensure success in these environments. As you can see, Chris is taking us along for a tour, but basically is, we can see here in this video, the outplanting of the corals that have been attached to a substrate on the seafloor. These colonies of corals come in different shapes and sizes and colors. And it's really incredible to be able to work with these tech divers to do this in situ outplanting. In addition, you can see how they've been attached to these different types of substrates or rocks and hard substrates to ensure success.
And that's awesome. The clip that we just saw before that one was just taken a couple of days ago on this expedition, which is amazing.
That's right. That's right. And then, Chris is walking upstairs and up the ladder up to an area that's close to the bridge. Looks like he's, yeah, you can see one of our rescue boats. And then we'll head up the ladder again up to the bridge in a moment. But some of the areas, passageways that he's passing through right now are places where people are sleeping. So he's got to be super quiet because they might be sleeping right now. There's Jake. He's going to open the door up to the final ladder, up to the bridge. And that's where a lot of the action happens. You can get to see the people on the bridge who help steer the ship and make sure that we get to the location that we need to in a safe and efficient manner. So right now we're getting a good view of the bridge with all of the equipment that are used to navigate and steer and drive. And then you can see that the view up there is really beautiful as well. But in addition, out ahead of the bow are the two small ships, small boats that are supporting the divers.
And there are divers out right now. Is that right?
Yeah. So there's two small boats that are out. We have one small boat that's supporting the technical divers. And then the other boat has the divers that will support those technical divers when they're starting to do their decompression.
That is awesome. And let me just, and you know what? This actually makes me think of, we have a video that was actually taken out on the small boats. And I think we can jump to that right now and kind of give viewers a picture of what it looks like and out on the small boats and what the divers might be up to right now.
That'd be great.
My name is Chris Ledford. I'm a dive officer with Moody Gardens Aquarium. And on this trip, I'm a deep technical diver and videographer. Right now, we are at a dive site called Pensacola Edge. It is one of the multiple sites that we've got planned out. This particular site was one of the early ones identified. It's about 65 meters deep or 215 feet. We've got 4 divers in the water currently on bottom doing sample collection. So they're down there giving the soft corals a little haircut, take a sample, we'll bring that up and use that for specimens for later and also for live population studies. So their dive is going to be about 25 minutes on the bottom, and we'll have a total run time. So from surface to surface, we got a pink bag over there. It's at 14:55. So we're dealing with professionals. They came up right on time like they were supposed to. It's fantastic. We have to do stage decompression stops. So from this depth and these bottom times, we can't just come straight to the surface when we're done doing work. We have to slowly work our way up. So they are following their plan exactly right. 20 minutes was the end of their bottom time. They send up a little signal marker buoy when they are done working and are starting their ascent. So that's just what came up. We've got safety divers that will help support them in shallower depths. They just jumped in the water. So they'll meet them somewhere about 70 to 100 feet. So they'll meet halfway in the middle on that line that the buoy's on. It also gives us the ability to have better communications because the safety divers are not under a decompression obligation. They can go up and down all they want to. So if there is some sort of emergency down there that they need to communicate back to the surface, the safety divers can just come right up and tell us. Whereas the deep team do not have that option. They are obligated to stay underwater for another 60 minutes or so.
So that was a little recap and a kind of an idea of what happens out on those small boats. And Chris Ledford, who you just saw in there, is also part of this expedition right now. Is he out on the small boat as we speak?
I believe so. I haven't seen him since this morning. I know he dove this morning. It's been a hectic morning. We're trying to get everything in, and
Totally.
we're trying
Well,
to maximize every second we have out here. So
and I want to make
lot
sure we
going
don't
on.
take up too much of your time, but there is something
no,
that
no,
I want to
no.
make
It's
sure
important. Yeah.
that we ask about, because I heard a rumor about a coral torpedo that you've been using on this particular expedition. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, and honestly, Aaron, that's we're doing a lot of very serious science out here, but you have to have fun.
That's right.
Is really the crux of it all. And we were looking for a way to rapidly get corals to the bottom in a without a lot of water mixing, so we didn't just chuck them over the side. So basically, we came up with a large acrylic tube and then made it look somewhat like a torpedo. So this. So you can see the torpedo here, and within the inside of this, you can see just a stainless steel rod and then aquarium grating. So the corals coming from the lab have little bases on them, so we can just pop them all in there, and then at depth, the divers can just pop this off, pull out the tube, and then they have it set up like a little Chinese dim sum buffet of corals to outplant. So.
You guys have that video you could show? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
right
So this is the
deployed
deployment
on
of the
this cruise.
torpedo.
Yeah. This is definitely a prototype, and honestly, I have to say it worked better than expected. The idea is we want to get them down at a very precise location, so we're looking at the map so we can hit the sediment just off the reef. So we're dropping a weight down, but also we have some counter floats on this, so when it deploys, it slows down before it hits the bottom. So we're really trying to baby these corals. There's been a lot of effort going into raising these things. So
every minute counts on the seafloor with these divers. So this is an incredibly efficient manner to get the corals down to the seafloor, and the divers are ready to go ahead and outplant them onto the substrate. So really incredible. And sometimes a simple approach is best,
Absolutely.
And I think it also goes to a lot of this restoration work really hasn't been tried before, right? So a lot of it is trying to come up with easy, interesting, new ways of problem solving these issues that come up, including how do you get these corals from the surface to the seafloor in a way that's safe and comfortable for them. So what a cool video. Thank you so much for showing us that. We have lots of really wonderful cheers in the chat just saying thank you for this work, and I will echo that. Thank you so much for all of this wonderful work that you're doing. And before we go, I just hope, could you go and tell us again how this work really supports restoration of these corals in the Gulf?
Yeah, absolutely. And this project and all of these projects really tie back into direct restoration from impacts from the Deepwater Horizon. So we're looking at there's multiple institutions and really getting these samples either from the labs, either back into the labs, or to our partners for genetic analyses. One thing we're very careful about biosecurity, making sure that if we have corals that we're putting out, we're not putting out sick corals or putting out corals in the wrong genetic population. So big kudos to all of our partners there, and definitely the Aquarius staff also. You have some absolutely wonderful folks in all of our federal and other partner institutions, really best in the business. So.
Yeah, and I will definitely also want to say thanks to the ship's crew for making this work possible. We couldn't get here to these locations without them driving us here safely, without the ship being operational, and obviously we are getting well fed as well.
Yes, it's just always a pleasure to work off the Nancy Foster. The ship just has a really good can-do attitude. Absolutely everybody on board, it works hard,
and we
works with us, and really goes above and beyond to make things happen.
For sure.
So
appreciate the
That's
team
amazing.
on the shoreside letting us share with you all. It's been really incredible. What a treat.
Oh, we're so grateful that you joined us as well. And I want to say thank you to everyone that put your questions in the chat. And there is one that I do want to make sure right before we go, we get to. It's about checking on the corals after you've put them out. Can you explain to us a little bit about how you follow up with those?
Yeah, Absolutely. So after, we take very precise locations of these, and we'll put either a marker on the seafloor next to them, or, something, because things often get fouled, with just sea life, bryozoans and whatnot. But we'll have something on the seafloor so we can identify those corals. And so periodically we'll come back and check on them. And we have good measurements going out so we can know how much they've grown. We do health assessments on all of them. So, working with our veterinary partners, specifically Dr. Alexa at Mississippi Aquarium, we're working with these folks that are really developing just, new processes and procedures for these corals that are pretty understudied. But that was a roundabout answer of not saying what we actually do. We go back and look at them periodically and measure them, either with divers or sometimes the imaging work actually works very well with ROVs. But we have divers in the neighborhood. We'll work there also.
That's a great point. We use a variety of different tools and techniques and technologies to make sure we come back and monitor the corals that we're outplanting, any kind of work that we're doing on the seafloor to ensure we can measure success.
Yeah, and just a quick note on those metrics, we've had really high survivorship so far. I know we looked at a batch of outplantings last year that had been down a year or two, and had well over 95% survival. So that's a
Wow, that's amazing.
very good number.
Very incredible.
And on that good note, last question, what gives you hope, right? I mean, we're working in the wake of a terrible oil spill, right? What gives you hope about the restoration of these corals?
Do you want to go first, or?
I think what gives me hope is there's a few different things. I will say, first and foremost, we've got the best of the best teams on the shore as well as offshore, making sure we're conducting the science needed to better inform direct restoration of these injured environments. We are working together with so many different partners, all the brightest minds brought together to ensure success. And what gives me hope is we're building an understanding of the Gulf in fundamental ways. So as we come back to these environments again and again, we'll be able to track what our success metrics are, where these environments are doing well, what our health metrics are. And in the labs, we're learning so much about what makes these animals tick. We're learning how to have success with spawning corals and getting them to rear and grow into babies and juveniles and outplant those corals into the future. So I think what gives me hope is that the brightest minds are really working together to inform direct restoration in the Gulf.
Yeah, that's very well said, Amanda. And I'll just add one other caveat to that. One thing that gives me hope is, we talked to some classrooms yesterday. And what gives me hope is those kids were so excited and gave such good questions that actually there's a list that we overflowed. So I've got to answer some of those tonight.
Some homework.
Yeah, I have homework on that one. But just that and the edge and outreach component of this. I mean, you guys are showing the world these habitats that so little people know. And, they're just right off our beach.
That's right.
And they're just hard to get to. But yeah, all the education outreach has been absolutely fantastic, and seeing kids and just the public in general just respond so well to these things.
Very positive.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of all the viewers and say thank you so much. And hearing about your experience gives us hope too. And just so appreciative of you taking the time in the middle of a very busy expedition. How many days do you have left at sea?
So we get back on Monday the 11th, I believe. So
Okay.
we've
Okay,
got,
so you've
got a few more
quite a
days
bit
of
of work
diving,
ahead.
and yeah, so we've got an action-packed few days, trying to get it all in.
Get it all done.
Yep.
Never a dull moment. Well, wishing you just good luck, calm seas, safe dives, and of course a safe transit back. But thank you again, Chris and Amanda, for your time. This was really, really wonderful.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Aaron,
It's great
and
to
big
see
shout
y'all.
out to all our partners also.
Thank
I mean, FAU, the Boss Lab there, USGS, NOAA, the NOAA diving program has been just fantastic. The level of support, and Moody Gardens, obviously.
Yes, definitely a team effort and 100%. So thank you so much. We will talk to you soon. And for now, I will just wrap up with a couple of things. One, we can actually, Chris mentioned all of these different partners that are involved in this expedition. We have a story map that we will find the link and paste in the chat that covers a lot of our missions from the last couple of years, but also at the end, it has a list of all of the partners that are involved in the mesophotic and deep benthic communities restoration. So be sure to check that out and learn more about some of the partners. And so during this program, of course, we were really focused on this particular expedition that's happening right now on the NOAA ship Nancy Foster. But as we mentioned in the beginning of the program, this is just one of many expeditions throughout the years. And it's really just a snapshot of all the mesophotic and deep benthic communities restoration. Just as a reminder, this includes really extensive high resolution mapping efforts, deep diving into understanding the seafloor communities and how they're connected, groundbreaking coral propagation, which you've heard a little bit more about today, removal of marine debris and reduction of other threats like invasive species. And then, of course, efforts to connect folks from around the world to these really, really special habitats in the Gulf. So please check out our other live streams and recordings. This one is the final live stream series of our spring series, but all of the previous live streams are available to view on our YouTube page. So really encourage you to check those out. We cover all kinds of different topics. We go really into deep dive about corals and how you keep corals alive. We have all these different topics. So please make sure to check those out. We have some more also. If you heard us mention the ROVs or remotely operated vehicles, we have some about that as well. We also have some other links that we're going to share. And don't forget also, we would love to hear your feedback about today's program. So please take a couple minutes to fill out this feedback form, what you liked, what you didn't, what you want to see more of. We really want to hear from you and let us know what you want to see. We will definitely have more live streams coming later on in our field season. So please stay tuned and check back on this YouTube page to see when those are coming out. So for now, just thank you again so much for joining us today. It was so fun to share a little bit more about some of the technical diving work that's contributing to restoration in the Gulf, and hope we'll see you again on a future live stream. Have a good one.